Heavy Radio, June 21st, 2020. We are coming at you live.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we have Nate Phillips here with us from Traffic Death, from his company Media Crypt. And that's you can at media_crypt and at Traffic Death. You can check it out at mediacrypt.bigcartel.com. Those are still your most applicable sites for those things, right, Nate?
Yep, for sure.
Sweet.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, sir.
Yeah, glad I could do it.
Sweet. Yeah, we have in the midst of statues being destroyed and all those sorts of things going on out there. We're just rocking out.
They should destroy more of them.
I think so too.
I'm all about Odorous Urungus being put up on top of that statue, though.
Yeah, that was actually my first. That was my first news item, actually. So we can go right into that. It started out kind of, just kind of a funny thing, but now it's actually gained traction. They've gotten like almost 50,000 signatures, and Odorous is it's looking like it might be a possibility. You got 47,404 signatures on change.org.
Oh wow. Have they discussed it all on that website, which side his cock would be on? Would it be on the left side of the horse, the right side of the horse? It's definitely not going to be on the top.
It's very important that they get that right. And I think the language they use here is erecting a statue to a great local leader. So I think they put that in the, that's definitely important.
It's beautiful.
For sure. They're thinking about the big things.
Yeah.
Did they ever end up making that RoboCop statue? Did that ever end up happening?
I don't know. I heard about it when it was in like the works, but
I was actually through Detroit recently, and I believe it is there. It's up. It's just the area. I think it's indoors, actually, and you couldn't get to it because of the whole lockdowns going on. But I believe it's there, and I tried to see it.
Good.
They should have put it on the streets, like on some intersection, like the worst neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just, let people know that RoboCop's watching.
Yeah, especially it could look like, the beginning of RoboCop 2, just all around the statue is just going on.
Oh yeah. I would try nuke once, I think. Just but I don't know if you can only do it once. I think it's kind of like crack.
It looked pretty tough to kick from the movie anyway. It's been a while, but Kane had a bad day.
Yeah.
They're shoving whole canisters into him by the end of it. So
I know. I mean, for me, one last, I think obviously there are statues of like Lemmy and Bon Scott and Dio. And I don't think anybody's going to tear these statues down. And if they did, there'd be like a GoFundMe and they would just rebuild it and it would be indestructible. I think Lemmy would actually challenge you to try to take down his statue.
Yeah, I don't think Lemmy ever oppressed anybody or, did any hardcore murdering of any kind.
Yes, that's why I don't quite understand where some people that get angry about this is, where they're coming from. Like, you put up a statue of a cool, righteous person, probably not going to get fucked with.
For sure, it's a good statue too. When Traffic Death played out on the West Coast, and when we went into LA, first thing we did was go to the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and we we parked right by there. It probably cost like $20 just to park for an hour. I can't remember. It was ridiculous, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then we all got Jack and Cokes and hung out by the statue. And then we online found like directions to his apartment where it used to be. So we all walked to his apartment and we slapped up Traffic Death stickers on like all the signs around the trail. And it was just like a junky little apartment complex. I mean, he's never there. So what's it need to be,
Right.
Yeah.
They toured 8 months a year or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's loaded.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
loaded with all kinds of stuff he collected.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
loaded with all kinds of stuff he collected. And I just saw it from that Lemmy movie they put out.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
a good documentary.
I
I thought
actually,
it was pretty sweet.
my news story, one of them anyway, kind of segues into that. Looks like, according to Metal Injection, they are making a Motorhead biopic about Lemmy himself, and it looks like it's from the crew that made the 2010 documentary.
Oh,
So,
cool.
looks like it follows his. They
You
just
mean
kind of have like a synopsis for now.
it's like a movie?
Yes, they're gonna do like a kind of like the Freddie Mercury movie. So they're gonna
Sure.
do like the whole yeah, like actors and everything. And looks like it starts when he was a roadie for Hendrix all the way up to um the Hawkwind and then all the Motorhead days and everything. So
Oh,
looks like
sweet.
it could be cool. And since it's with the crew that made the 2010 documentary, looks like it's in good hands. So
Cool. I just read
Yeah,
his autobiography. It'd be a really interesting movie.
yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah. No, and yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that could be really good or really bad, but it sounds like it's being made by people that give it the best shot to be good.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was excited about that one.
yeah. It's not Michael Bay's not making it, so
No,
should be.
Yeah,
not a
let
spark.
me. Yeah, that would be Lemmy is played by like I don't know who would it be in that case, probably like Rob Lowe or
Mark
something.
Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg.
Mark fucking Wahlberg for sure.
um, I know the last bit of news I had for this week was that Danzig was on Alice Cooper's radio show to talk about his Danzig Sings Elvis record. And
You heard it? It's good.
I have listened to it. I do have it.
Yeah, I mean his voice sounds fine.
Sounds beautiful.
I mean it's not like obviously if he did it in '93 it'd be better, but like who can? I
Mm.
mean how long ago was that? I mean he's a showman. He's been making music for a really long time, and it can't be compared to people that take like 30 years off and come back. It's like he's been constantly belting it out, and probably with no
Yeah.
actual training. It sounds like it's just sort of his
Yeah.
natural yelling. It's like a Johnny Cash type thing. Like that's just how he sings.
He definitely
And
gives it his all.
I thought it was
We
impressive. You know, the cover just looks like a classic record from, you know, the 70s or 60s. And the song, like the deep cuts that he picked, just shows that it's not some, you know, gimmick. It's just songs he loves. And he's, you know, putting his soul into them.
What songs that he loves and songs he can afford.
that could be too. That could be too.
He's on these Misfit shows. These Misfit shows, he's making like millions of dollars. I mean, they're cleaning house on those. The place is the size of like the biggest arena in your city, and they're selling out.
I guess that's the first time, you know, a band everybody could agree was a punk band. The Misfits like sold out Madison Square Garden or whatever. So I mean, that's a pretty historical footnote.
I never got to see him together. I saw Misfits without him, and I saw Danzig alone, where he threw a microphone through a PA, which is the first time I've ever seen one do that. But I've never seen Misfits with him.
Did it have anything to do with him receiving or not receiving a chicken sandwich?
No, we don't know because I just know that he's having problems with his microphone, and then he's asking his tech something. So chicken sandwich could have been involved, but he straight up just turned around and chucked the mic into one of the PA cabs, and it stuck in there. So that was pretty rad.
Maybe there was like chicken grease all over the microphone, and in turn, it made it not work properly.
He's pissed.
For some,
if you heard about that whole story with the like him playing that fest and they didn't have his Wendy's chicken sandwiches or whatever.
Damn.
Threatening to not play.
You know,
those are good.
But I guess we should note that the three of us have kind of crossed paths going way back. And when we had a radio show on FM radio in Des Moines, you came on our show. And at that time we talked about Black Market Fetus. And but one of like the first memories I have of us hanging out was we were watching. It was like a Rainbow recording, a live video, and Richie Blackmore like throws his guitar into his amp and it like blows up or some shit. I just remember that.
Yeah, I still
That
watch
happened.
that video pretty regular.
I just know there's like this ball of flames. At least that's how I remember it. But
I mean, it might be kind of like how the lockers in your elementary school look cute or look small now, but
yeah.
yeah, it's still pretty dramatic.
It's about
Let's
as
see.
I mean, as cool as what could happen if you throw a real guitar into a real amplifier. It was that.
That happened. I can confirm. Let's see. So I had a few more news stories I'll roll through. Let's see here. This one's just a quick update. Recently, since they had delayed the tour, what was it? With Megadeth, In Flames, Trivium, Lamb of God, that tour got postponed to next year. So they did like a live stream. I tuned in to see. I watched a little bit of it. But during one of the interviews, Dave Mustaine said that the next record is coming along, and he compared it to what do you say? Basically, Countdown to Extinction, Rest in Peace, and Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? So their biggest albums. So we'll see if if that's what he's feeling. Man, I hope so, but we'll see. But I'm always excited for new stuff from them. But I just thought that was cool that he's making the tunes, and I hope it lives up to those. Um, let's see. Other one I have.
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's common that bands will say that it's going to sound like their best stuff,
Right.
or similar. Like when that last album came out, everyone was like, "Oh, it's the best thing since the early Kill 'Em All and fucking Ride the Lightning and stuff." And there was some good songs on there, but there was some stinkers too. The other thing I make sure I say is that I do care about Megadeth, but all those other bands fucking suck.
Right.
Oh my god, it's shit.
Yeah.
They're shit people. Anyway, go on. Next.
No, it's all right.
I don't even remember Trivium. Fuck Trivium too.
Yeah, I'm
Why
not
did they
a
get to tour? Why did they get to tour with Iron Maiden?
not big fans of any of those except for Megadeth and In Flames. The other two cats, I'm not.
Flames is okay. I didn't remember you said that one. I'll give them a pass.
I heard that David Ellefson said he was working on a song called Rattlehead 2. So I mean, if it's anything in the spirit of the original, it could be cool. If it's like, if it's got like banjo and it's like half country, then it could really suck. So you just it just kind of depends on what kind of state of mind they're in, I guess.
Rattlehead 2, rattled again. The rattling.
Right itself.
Ain't your baby's rattle.
I thought you guys would find this one interesting as fellow musicians and bands. So Suicide Silence, which I've been starting to get into because their last record, they are starting a digital tour starting July 2nd. So I looked in to see what the deal is with that, and I guess they are able to geofence certain cities. So every time they play a show, like they can just cut out a fence for this is going to be in Dallas, this is going to be in Des Moines, whatever, and then you can buy tickets for $10 a piece, and you can watch the live stream, and then they kind of do like a Q&A after. So I thought it was interesting. It's the first band I've seen of anyway that's doing this tactic to kind of get some kind of a tour going this year.
It's an interesting idea. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I mean, I think it's better. It's better than nothing, right? And you would still interact with people from your region or your state. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I say give it a shot.
They're doing like special merch. It looks like for each show. So,
and I think it's mainly been pop or hip hop or some. Yeah, I don't even know what the proper genre to put it into, but I know some
music
bands
everyone's listening to.
Some bands have done that on Fortnite and Minecraft, I guess, right? They've tried to have like a live concert. It seems interesting to me.
Minecraft, like the game?
Yeah, I
Like
think so.
Or
Yeah, like the
Fortnite, they
band
have
is playing, and I guess if you're part of the game, you can like walk up to it and like watch it. I don't know. It
yeah,
sounds intriguing to me.
yeah. Fortnite and Minecraft both had yeah, bands play live, and then yeah, people just go walk up to it like in World of Warcraft and hang out.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I
Or is
feel
there
like it'd be cool if it was like a real full on brutal band, and then like Minecraft, like a war was happening around it. That'd be cool, right?
I swear Minecraft did have a metal band, but I'd have to look it up, but I swear I saw a clip from it, but I'll have to check.
probably Fintroll?
We
Or
got
what is that one that's the pirate guys that's not running wild?
Ailstorm.
Hailstorm, yeah.
Hailstorm.
Yeah.
I
Yo
could see
ho,
that.
a bottle of metal.
And why not? We're all just
I
at
would
home
have a
anyway.
really fun time watching that band, but I would never listen to them on purpose at home. But if I walked into a place and they were playing, I would watch their whole
Right.
set.
You just have to
I
jump
would,
in at that
if they played like the adult Renaissance fair, I'd probably go see that.
Wait, Mark, what is the adult Renaissance?
Oh no, I haven't gone, but I hear tell of it. It's
Awesome.
like you can't bring your camera, and no kids allowed. I'm sure
What?
it's just people,
I didn't know
being liberal with their
that existed.
pirate outfits. I don't know. It happens in Iowa. You might
The
have to
hottest
check that
pirate
out.
outfit. Too
I'm
hot
sure
for
the best one is in Iowa.
I'm sure it is.
Like the fair of
pirates are too hot.
Too hot for eye patches.
Well, thanks for that thought. I didn't think I would have this morning.
I'm gonna go as
last-
an adult wizard.
right.
The last news story I had looks like a bunch of people are signing a petition to save independent music videos here in the U.S. during
Music venues, you mean?
yeah, sorry, music venues.
No, you're good. I just saw the same thing.
Yep, yeah, and so yeah, Robert Plant, Ozzy, Alice Cooper, Dave Grohl, Trent Reznor, Josh Homme, Queens of Stone Age. That's some of the names they threw out, but I know like Cannibal Corpse, Gore, Mr. Bungle, a ton of like over 600 people, our musicians have signed it. So basically, they're trying to, from what I understand, get them classified as protected so that the states and the government will help them stay alive, just because of music industry is such a big industry and very important. I think it gets overlooked when things like this happen. So that's
I
definitely
think it's
something.
really important for sure. It's I mean, the kind of bands that we're in, if all there is venues that are like 500 to 1,000 seat and up, like it'd be back to the basement. We'd have to start doing basement shows again.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then you can have you could put a ton of work into a show and it can just get canceled in a heartbeat because the cops show up. So
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I deal with that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I feel like some of those people could like actually give their own money to keep things like that open, but also I think it's worth making a broader appeal too. But I think also sort of like the people that are really passionate about music venues, I don't know, the scene I almost feel like needed to be like shut down, burn it down, and start over sort of thing, because I'm sure you noticed over the years, shows lately haven't been anything like 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
They are sometimes, but it's very like, I don't know, maybe I'll go to like 3 a year that like feel like the way they used to, like with the camaraderie of like, you see people, you talk, you hang out, everyone's having fun. People are buying merch and stuff. And what a lot of people don't realize is that it's far more important to go out and go to see like $5 shows your friends are putting on than it is to go see like whatever $50 concert. Like those guys are going to make their money anyway. They have a guarantee whether you go or not, they're going to make money.
Yeah.
It's the band, like your buddy that's been in a band for a while that's handing you a flyer, like go to his fucking show on a Tuesday night at some bar. Like support. It's not just about supporting local music, it's supporting art, it's supporting independent thought and independent businesses.
Exactly.
Ideas is like churned out, and it'll just mean so much more to your buddy that you're at his show than the band that doesn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally like I was watching that Murder in the Front Row, that thrash documentary about the West Coast scene, the early '80s, and it was all just like little venues just letting kids play the metal loud as shit, and just like protected them in their little bubble, so they got to become better and better and hone their craft. And I don't know how bands get better without putting in that time and getting in front of people. So yeah, exactly. If they can't play the small gigs, I don't know what'll happen. So that's of all genres too, not just ours, but especially metal, from what
Well,
I've seen
like
firsthand.
it's almost like what it'd be turning into is you would have like the big bands, and then everyone else would just be recording artists, and they wouldn't even play live.
Yeah.
It'd be a big bummer.
Yeah, and I could totally see a resurgence of kind of, the venues. We obviously, as a group, all know about the house shows and playing at like weird places like skate parks and malls that aren't traditional venues.
And in the
And
last couple of years, both
yeah,
of those.
yeah, like that skate park by my house on the south side. That's still a thing, right? At least last time I checked, the South Ridge or whatever it is.
What
You
is
like
it?
the South Side skate park that's kind of like out in the middle of nowhere past what used to be Southridge Mall.
Okay.
It's like you go in there and it looks like you're walking into the 70s and shit. And there was a punk show. Matt Mudd had a punk show there like a year or two ago.
Oh, okay. I
But
remember
yeah, so I
talking.
feel like this shit could come back up after, people start going out more again. So hopefully we'll just see a resurgence of that kind of camaraderie, but we'll see what happens.
Music will find a way.
I mean, I think it's cool. It's cool how next to Woolies, there's that arcade up down. So there's like little pockets of places like that are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that it doesn't. I've said this more than once. Well, I used to say if Harry Mary's ever closed, I'm never playing in Des Moines again. But then I got in good with the Muse, and I started liking that place just as much almost. It doesn't have the same like vibe that Mary's did, but it's like there's no windows, there's no TVs distracting people from the bands. Everything's in one room, so if you're there for the show.
Yeah,
it's not. There's a lot of music venues where there's a side room or whatever, and you could be playing and there's 50 people in that other room, and it just messes up the whole vibe of the show.
Yeah, hell yeah,
and then music's cool. Venues like the Muse, because if you can like work your ass off and get 100 people out, it feels like a pretty solid deal. If you did the same amount of work and had the same amount of people show up and you played at Woolies, it would be depressing.
Yep. Right. Yep. For real.
So, and the same with a house show. Like we played house shows in the past with bands I've been in. Well, there's maybe 20 people there, and they're some of the most memorable shows I ever played, because there was like people flying off the walls and slamming into the drum set, and everybody bought merch, and they gave you all the money from the door. There was no cut. No one's getting cut in. Like we played a house show. What was it? Maybe 3 years ago, and we sold $150 in merch. Got paid $200, and got asked to come back. It was just like a 3-hour drive.
Hell yeah!
So that's how we pay to put out our records, is shows like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hell definitely. Yeah. Same store, Simpatico. Sandworms, you hate them, right?
I did, for sure.
That's it for me for news, unless Mark, do you have anything else?
We gotta pay some bills here with this totally real sponsorship that we have here. Okay. This sponsorship is coming to you from George Corpse Grinder Fisher Thick Neck Gym. Over 50 different stations for working on neck exercises. Work your neck by giving it a relentless beating. Get thick-necked and orgasm through torture. Trainers will put you through a sickening metamorphosis until there's nothing left to mutilate. Not only will you be able to windmill like mad, you'll be guaranteed to withstand 5 nails through the neck. So check out George Corpse Grinder Fisher Thick Neck Gym. It's coming to a city near you.
The rest of your body looks totally normal, but your neck is fucking.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. That was an intense sponsorship.
So yeah, look out for that. Be able to go neck to neck with the Corpse Grinder.
I'm glad you brought that sponsor in.
Yeah, it's an important one. It's going to bring in a lot of money.
Don't mess with that stuff.
Oh Lordy.
But yeah, I think we should get on to just talking about. Are you working on any material with Traffic Death, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we had a entire album written and studio time booked, and then all this coronavirus stuff happened, so we had to cancel. That was actually our first time going into a legitimate studio as this band, which could, you know, be good or bad. But the guy that was recording us didn't have access to the space that he had the previous few times, where he was giving us a really good deal. We would have had to find a location and set up like when we could, and it would have been a bigger pain in the ass.
Yeah,
so, we have it. The artwork's done for the cover, the gatefold, the back cover. We already have the label that's going to help release it. Nick Smeltzer from Black Market Fetus is playing guitar now because Garen left.
Yeah.
But we still hang out with him. I think Garen's been at every show we've played in Des Moines since we stopped playing together.
I think I've seen him at every show that I've been to. So, yeah, that's awesome. And I think, a lot of people are looking forward to hearing this meeting of people. So it should be rad.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We had been playing it live. Right before all this happened, we went and played a show in Iowa City and then in Columbia, Missouri. And our idea was that for the next clusters of shows each time, so we had another couple clusters booked, one in Fort Wayne and Indianapolis, and then we were going to do Minneapolis and Madison. And we were going to work in different chunks of new songs so that we tightened up on them and got a better feel for like what makes them work and not work and whatever. And then in turn, we just didn't get to do that. And we haven't practiced since the middle of March. And I was just hanging out with Andrew the other night with sort of a I hope we can remember how all these songs we were playing. We practiced every week, sometimes twice a week. So we weren't recording them or anything. We just had them in our heads.
Yeah.
I have all the lyrics typed out in a book and stuff, so that's not an issue. But figuring out the exact structure, because what we do is we have a dry erase board and we write down the structure until we get it, and then we erase it, and then just write the song title and a couple little notes, and then use the space on the dry erase board for the new song, whatever the next. And then so you keep adding them to the left as you write them, and now it's just like a big pile of stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I was gonna be one of my questions to you is kind of like, where do you, as a fellow musician, how do you find inspiration, or what things do you draw upon to write about, or I guess your kind of process there?
Well, I mostly write about the things I don't like about the world, so it's pretty easy to find material.
Yeah.
Now being more so than ever, even though I haven't written a word since this whole thing happened, it's hard to get inspired when there's a certain negativity that comes from within that you use to write, but when there's so much negativity pounding down on you, it's sort of I don't want to add to it. I don't want to,
right.
When most things are going pretty good, it's okay, well, I'll write some negative stuff and it helps get some negative energy out and whatever. But just everything that could be wrong right now, other than us being all dead in a bomb blast, is pretty much happening. Hopefully it's for the better. Hopefully what this does is it reforms the way the police treat people of color, and hopefully other people that might not realize that they have racist characteristics can approach those in a manner that they can decide to veer away from it. Though some people, because Trump sort of makes it okay, they seem to embrace the other direction. They seem to decide to go oh, well, this is okay. You can you can be like this, and it's not okay, and you can't be like that.
Mhm.
Science is real. Let's see, I don't know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of touched on those
I don't want to get into
topics.
politics at all.
We kind
It's
of
hard
touched on
not
all
to.
that last week. No, it
Yeah,
is.
we
It's
talk about whatever comes up. We got no censors, so I think that's pretty spot on. I agree, and there's always this feeling that the boot is going to come down, the empire is going to clap back or whatever. So I think it could get worse before it gets better. I mean, it's something we might have to face, and I think especially people like us that put on shows in public and whatever are kind of people that do have to have that. Hey, if you need something, if somebody is mistreating you, like come to one of these places and we'll lift you up and like hopefully stand up to whatever this oppressive force is right now.
as a genre, metal. We kind of touched on it last time. Yeah, as a genre, it's not a genre to be quiet about things. So people are going to talk about real life stuff, and yeah, I've found it difficult too because it's like you can get so amped up about what's going on, so then it's almost kind of like you get like, well, for me anyway, I get writer's block sometimes because it's like, how do you sit down and write out what you're like the angriest riff? Like it starts, I'm just like, all right, I'll take a break. So, um,
When with lyrics too, there's this concern that like I am still like I'm a white kid. I was born in Clive. Like, what is it that I'm supposed to be saying exactly?
mhm.
Yeah.
The idea I had initially was like, okay, like I move out of the way, let other people talk, because that's what needs to happen. But then in turn, like it's like, oh, if you're not saying anything, then you're kind of like siding with the bad guys or whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I'm saying some things, but it's like I've never really on the because some of the early Black Market Fetus releases, I remember writing about we have a song called "All Nazis Are Bastards." We have
Great song.
have "Blinded by the Cross" is about our loathing for organized religion and all that kind of stuff. And as I got older, I was like, none of that stuff really affects me. So I started writing a lot more about how people are obsessed with their phones, how people drive like shit, how people talk too much when they're on the airplane around other people, just like dad shit, Like I've written more songs about like the interactions with my kids and stuff, but I don't think the world's ready for that yet. I felt like it was more real to write about the stuff that affects you. Like, I don't have a lot of problems in my daily existence with like posers, so I don't write about how I hate posers or whatever.
Well, I feel like
I still listen to Exodus Bonded by Blood every week, but I don't write those songs.
I feel
just
like
I be luck writing lyrics about like medieval times. Like that's already been done. Dio handled that just fine, and like I don't have that. I've never been on a mountainside with lightning and all that.
Right.
I feel like we're
No,
right
yeah,
for a Nate Phillips solo album, just like called Dad Shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah. So
The chorus
so I pulled up the Media Crypt
yeah, I wanted
website,
to talk to you about that too.
and how are things going with Media Crypt? Want to kind of explain what your idea was behind that and what you're getting out to people here?
It's going good. I mean, it started with, on Instagram, I was posting a lot of VHS tapes, and I had a couple people request shirts because they saw that I was also a screen printer.
Mm.
And so I made a couple custom shirts for a guy out in New Jersey. And I was like, hey, man, like if I'm making these for you, I've already got the screens burned. Is it cool if I just try to sell these to other people too? And I had always had the thought and desire to do it, but it's like it helps when someone's like, hey, I'll send you $50. It just helps get the ball rolling a little bit. I had the equipment. I already print. So yeah, I put those up, and the first couple, like I sold a couple dozen of each design. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start doing this. And at the time, we had just had our first son. And so I was being a stay-at-home dad, and I had all this like random sorry, I'm burping here. Ugh. I had all this random free time where he actually took naps. Right, I don't know if you can see; he's kind of lingering around. I just saw his hand.
Yeah.
Um,
On the video.
you know,
Working.
he would take 2 naps a day for like 2 hours at a time. So when he'd fall asleep, I'd get on the computer and I'd just start working on designs and just like getting it ready and trying to get the transparencies ready. And I built it up now to a point where, you know, I get at least an order a day. Sometimes it's more. I just did an over the top, like long sleeve tank top
Yeah.
t-shirt thing. I sold 60.
I'm looking at this over the top tank top and thinking that's pretty amazing. And I mean, 18 bucks is an amazing price for an
that's a really good
amazing
price.
looking over the top tank top. I mean, honestly, if it just said Stallone and didn't even have the amazing graphic, I would probably still get it.
Yeah, right. Why not?
But no, there's so much rad shit. And
my next one, I'm going to be doing No Holds Barred pretty soon.
Oh, shit.
I just have to get the artwork figured out.
Rip them. Maybe like the hand with the hand symbol and just says "rip 'em" or some shit.
Yeah, that'd be good on the back.
Yeah,
So
hell yeah.
The kids that know.
That Golden Harvest presentation, that stood out to me. Just being a big Bruce Lee fan.
Yeah,
that's fucking rad.
Emily and I just started watching those because she had never seen a Bruce Lee movie before.
Yeah,
and she likes Chuck. We found that there's on Pluto TV. There's this like Walker Texas Ranger channel, basically. So we watched that, and she like. So we watched the. Is it Fists of Fury? The one with no.
Yeah, our Big Boss was the first one through Garden Harvest, and then Enter the Dragon. I know they co-produced.
It's Way of the Dragon is the one I'm thinking of. He fights Chuck Norris at the end in that Coliseum.
Oh yeah, okay.
He rips his chest hair out and then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how Bruce Lee really did bring a lot of those guys to the forefront. And Golden Harvest, I know that's kind of where Jet Li and Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen came from. And I think didn't they do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies? I think they were some part of that.
They did, because nobody wanted to touch it. Everyone thought that it was going to be a failure.
Yeah, that first one is still amazing to me. And the fact that it was like an indie movie at the time just makes it that much more amazing.
Do you think those companies noticed that it wasn't a failure?
I think they might have. Same with
it was like all you could find anywhere was Turtle stuff.
My entire childhood.
It's crazy to me how, now I think we are reaching an era where what is selling might also mean something, come from the heart and be rad, because you got people like James Gunn and J.J. Abrams that started with Troma, and they're doing the big things. So hopefully we'll see some more interesting stuff when all this kicks back up.
Hell
yeah. I definitely dig there's going to be that new Ghostbusters movie. That newer Turtles movie was cool. My son's really into Ghostbusters. He just heard me say that. I also think it is important to try to find new stuff that is cool. It's especially with bands, since it's a music thing. Like, I listen to a lot of old music, but I think it is important to go out and try to find some new stuff to support and to go see, and not just dwell in the past. Because what's going to happen when all the bands that everyone knows from the past all stop playing and nobody was supporting newer bands? There's not going to be anyone to take over.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I try and make it a point to dig through new stuff, and you always want to listen to the classic stuff because that's what we know and love, but I do try and just sift through the new releases, even if I don't even know who they are. Just give even bands that I might be like, oh, I don't like this album cover, just give it a try, just to be like, maybe I will find something rad. So
yeah,
hell yeah,
something bad.
There you go. Oh yeah, I saw that. He's holding up the rad VHS.
Definitely check out MediaCrypt.BigCartel.com. Look at all this amazing stuff.
Yep.
And I can't even think of how I know how awesome it is in your workspace. It looks like the horror section from my favorite video store
Yeah,
back
you
in the
got quite
day.
the collection behind you.
Yeah, I have about 5,000 VHS tapes currently. I have 1,100 video discs, something like a couple hundred laser discs. I don't know. It's sometimes there's the burden of choice where it's like trying to figure out what to watch is hard, but like here's a wall, just like that whole wall just going down.
This is
It's
a
all
wall of
VHS.
VHS.
It wraps all the way around the entire room, and then there's little double-sided shelves behind this bookshelf behind me, like the
I
old
would-
Blockbuster double-sided ones that are
That's
full on
dope.
both sides.
It looks like the old stores. I was gonna ask you a question. Like, is there anything? I know you've quite a collection. Is there anything like a holy grail or like something like you've really been trying to find, like a certain print of a movie or anything like that, or do you just kind of just find what you find when you find it?
Every time I think I've found everything, I find that there's a whole nother pocket or a company that was around. It's just like music, like you could
Mhm.
spend your whole life collecting like Scandinavian black metal or South American thrash metal or whatever. And the more you dig, the more you find. As far as a holy grail, one I was looking for a really long time was a copy of Rocktober Blood on Betamax. And I finally found one last year.
But
That's a movie. I have US VHS, a German VHS, Spanish, Italian, a beta. I have an original poster, a sealed soundtrack, an open soundtrack that's autographed by the lead actor. I have a test pressing of the reissue, the cassette, the CD. I have a
Goddamn.
stage prop from the movie. Supposedly, it doesn't look like the one in the movie, but I bought it from the guy in the movie,
Yeah.
so I don't know what happened.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Hopefully
too
he's not. He wasn't in
awesome.
the movie, but he's still schlocking like knockoff movie props.
I talked to him on the phone. It's the lead actor from the movie. It does have a certificate of authenticity signed by the director and the co-producer.
That's awesome.
But it's a mic stand with an axe head on it.
Yeah,
And it just doesn't look quite like the one in the movie. I think it was probably something they made as a test prop.
yeah.
And then made a different one, and he doesn't know that. Like, I don't think he meant to rip me off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's okay. I'm not. I got a lot of that other stuff was in the poster and all that was in the same bundle. But whatever.
One thing that comes to my mind, like walking through your collection, is just this idea of the importance of different formats, and most of the stuff that gets remade on whatever the new format is, like Blu-ray, Red-Ray, whatever it is, like it's a lot of stuff gets lost every time you go to a new format, and the whole idea of like America centric like audience, whereas like all this shit, there's a lot of awesome stuff that only came out by some small company in some small country, and a lot of that doesn't get carried over onto the next format. So I think it's a really important and rad to have like physical books and different formats of media just to carry on some of this great art. I think that's really rad.
It does still blow my mind some of the stuff I see them putting out on Blu-ray. Like I just got the Rad Blu-ray. I've actually purchased a Blu-ray player, or my wife got me one for my birthday because of the Rad Blu-ray. Never thought something like that would make it to that because it didn't even get put out on DVD. And then there's these little boutique companies that will release like shot on video movies and like little independent films, and they'll do like, it's just like a punk record. There's 300 copies ever made and it's gone in a flash and whatever, but it does exist. But there's still probably a few thousand titles in this room that will never be put out on any other format. So I do think it's important to keep those available for people if they want to see them. I mean, there are people constantly putting stuff up on YouTube and whatever, but it doesn't always stay up.
Right. No, it's super important because it's art. It's important, even if
I really like the feel of, like you take the tape and you slide it out, and I always check to make sure that it's solid, that the mechanism works right. And you slide it in, and the chunk.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a top loader, 1979 top loader, and it's really, when you put it in, it's like you're accomplishing something just by
Yeah.
putting it in. And there's a little light sensor in there, and the light sensor tells the player that there's a tape in there, and if the light burns out, it doesn't work.
Ah,
And then, it's just like it gears up, and it's like gung gung.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
No, and
Wow,
I think you could
Yeah,
probably
there's
appreciate
something to that, man.
you could probably appreciate this. Like I just like showing my youngest son, who's about to be 1 year old, like show him a cassette tape or a VHS tape and just let him look at it and like be like, whoa, you might actually know what this is. Whereas a lot of kids your age might not.
For sure. It's grandpa's guitar.
Happy Father's Day
Grandfather's
to you guys, too, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great Father's Day episode. You have the full on next level brutality father experience because you have twins and a boy that's only slightly older than the twins.
Yeah, Freddie here.
Hello.
So that's you're taking it to the extreme.
We weren't trying to have twins. There was no plan there.
you
How they say it
you
goes.
looked at you looked at the Bonded by Blood or album cover too much or something.
I said I want that.
Put in the order.
They came out separate though. The doctor, if you can believe it, said he couldn't put them together.
I mean, you just went to the wrong doctor. I think you need to go to some place that looks like really dirty and there's like maggots and like weird sharp implements that we're not sure what they're for. And go to that doctor and he probably would have put them together.
Two doors down from the donkey show.
Okay. That is the kind of doctor that we need for that operation.
Yeah, he's in. He might do it for free to do it.
But
yeah, speaking of some jams, I figure we'll go into our picks for the week. I figure we each got 5 songs. We can just do take round robin it. Nate, since you are the guest, sir, if you want to give us your picks for the week.
So you want me to do all 5?
You can just run through.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can talk about why you picked each one. We might jump in with some hell yes.
Cool. My the first pick is a song called "Take This Torch" by a band called Razor. They were a Canadian thrash metal band. It's off their album called Executioner's Song, which actually just got reissued by, I cannot remember the label, but it's like they've been hard to get. A lot of these reissues that have been coming out right now seem to be like not getting to where they're going and being held places because of the whole coronavirus thing. But that's a pretty great album and a great song. There was 2 albums that were released with that singer. One is Executioner's Song and one is called Evil Invaders. And those 2 albums are killer. I love their 90s stuff. I would also check out the album called Shotgun Justice.
Okay. I know some of their. I've had them come up on playlists before, and yeah, I've been meaning to dig deeper into them.
I have them on my Spotify. I want to say it's Relapse Records.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that they've had stuff come out on lots of labels. They've been around since like 1984. Something. I mean, they're an old school band, but they do still play live, and they have a new singer, but it's still just as good. But the notes that that original singer hits are just like, holy shit, they're great.
Yeah, it looks like you can get them at label.relapse.com/razor. So
sweet.
And
maybe I'll go there after this.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I was trying to find original Viper pressings. That's the label from Canada, they're from Germany that originally released those records, but they went from $30 to $100 pretty quick, and I just can't justify that right now. But yeah, they're great. I think Canadian thrash metal as a whole gets overlooked outside of Voivod. People obviously know Voivod, but there's also like Sacrifice. There's bands like the Canadian Slaughter. They recently came up on that death documentary that they did. It's kind of a bummer seeing what a little wimp Chuck Schuldiner was about too.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not done.
You put out a certain caliber of music. I think you can overlook that, I suppose.
Yeah. My second pick is it's an old Illinois band called Impetigo. The song I picked is Boneyard off the Horror of the Zombies album. They were it's a really gnarly sound. No one sounds like Impetigo. It's just gross and guttural and strange, and the vocal range is untouched by anyone that I've ever heard. They also have another couple albums. They did a couple reunion shows, but they refused to play live anymore. And they weren't from Chicago. They were from some smaller town. I can't remember now what town. I have some VHS tapes of them playing live back.
Bloomington.
There you go.
Bloomington, Illinois.
Yeah, they're a fun one. If you have not heard them, check that out. It's gross gore. It's like gore, sludgy death metal. I don't even know what it's called. They were on a label called Wild Rags that put out a lot of strange, awesome stuff. They put out records by a band called Blood Cum. It was Tom Araya's little brother's band.
Yeah, rad.
And then there's another band on that label. What the hell are they called? I recently read a book about crossover, and I picked up a bunch of records, and there was a couple from Wild Rags. There was like a different Annihilator from Texas. It's not the Annihilator that everyone knows.
Huh.
It was pretty good. It's like Annihilator with one N.
Blasphemy,
Okay.
I think. I think Necrophobic. Yeah.
So that's a good one. Anything on that label.
Wild Rags Records.
The new release by Possessed made me go back because the new Possessed album is fucking awesome. It's better than anything Slayer's done in the last 20 years.
Hell yeah.
I'll have to go check it out.
It sounds like it could have just come out after their last record. It could be the record after that. But the song that I've been listening to the most is off of their EP, The Eyes of Horror, and the song is called My Belief. And it's just a really good, like, kind of song, like a fist banging metal song, and it's just about, believing in Satan.
Hell yeah.
Two newer releases. One is by a band that's not necessarily new, but they have been consistent, and they just put out a new one. Though the track I picked is off of the record they put out prior to that. The band is called Denial of God, and the song is called Beyond the Coffin Lid, off of the album Death and Beyond.
That's a good title.
And their last three albums were all double LPs, and it's just like, I'm not a big black metal fan, but it's like atmospheric, and it's kind of Halloween-y in a little bit of ways. And it's just it's really good, and I love the vocals. And he does this cross between, like, he kind of randomly whispers and also screams, and just sounds really disturbed. So
that's dope.
I like that. And then the other band that I've been really getting into has my buddy Sonny playing guitar. They're called Neckrot. And there's a new track that just popped up, which I only listened to today for the first time in the shower, coming out of their new album Mortal, which I did not write down the title of the song, but it's on Spotify. And the song that I wrote down is called The Blade, which is just the opening track off of their album Blood Offerings, which they're just really good. It's like old school death metal done right. It's a 3-piece, it's a power trio, and they're just super heavy, and they're cool too.
We'll put all those tracks into our playlists, and be on YouTube and Spotify, and how to purchase merch or music from those bands. So
I did try to find all stuff that was on Spotify, just in case that's how you did the playlist.
We do it on pretty much any way we can, so we should be able to put it together regardless.
We'll have everything we can off Spotify, then everything else on YouTube.
Or link it to Bandcamp, whatever. But if you got to get rocking and rolling, you can either stick around for our songs, or we can let you go and we'll close it out here.
Oh, she said she wanted to talk. My wife said she wanted to talk to me, and then she disappeared.
All right. So if you need to dip out, it's fine. You can just shut it down. But Nate Phillips on Heavy Radio, check out Media Crypt, Big Cartel. Check out at Media Crypt, at Traffic Death. I'm definitely stoked to hear the new Traffic Death music.
Yeah, definitely excited to put it out there.
So yeah,
man.
See what happens. I don't know.
we'll start riffing on our playlist, and then if you need to cut out at some point, just go ahead.
Cool. I'll leave this up. I might go ask her what's up and come back.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
My first track is Gojira with The Gift of Guilt. Thought this is kind of a brutal and poignant song. I happened to see them in Iowa City when there was a foosball game going on at Kinnick Stadium. So a lot of the sporting people went to that, and I saw Gojira in an intimate setting, and it was pretty amazing. But that's Gojira
right.
with The Gift of Guilt.
But that was pretty brutal, that show.
Yeah. What's your first old school track?
Yeah, let's see here. So my first old school one, know you're a fan of this band, Grim Reaper, Fear No Evil.
Hell yeah.
I remember first time hanging out with one of the first times we hung out with Nate. It was years ago now, but anyway, he saw we were Grim Reaper fans. I think that was like one of the first bands we bonded over. We're like, all right.
Yeah, a band that we're mutual friends with, the Lurking Corpses, I think played that song a couple times at shows we were all at. So it's got the amazing Shane on vocals there.
Hell yeah.
You talking about the Lurking Corpses?
Yeah, because they do Fear No Evil. They did a Grim Reaper song a couple times.
Yeah.
They did See You in Hell.
See You in Hell. That's the one
yeah.
they did. Yes.
Yeah, my first pick was Grim Reaper, Fear No Evil. So I was telling about how I remember you came over to my place one time and you saw the Grim Reaper CD, and we're like, all right. So it's like one of our first bands we bonded over back in the day.
They're great.
Hell yeah.
My second track is by Primitive Man, and it is the song is called Victim, and it's on their Caustic album. I know they're a trio from Denver, and I don't know, did you ever run into them when you were playing in with a group in Denver, Nate?
He was actually, when I did a European tour with Catheter, Ethan from Primitive Man was the bass player. So I actually hung out with him for a month and a half in Europe.
That's awesome.
And Primitive Man didn't exist yet. He came back, and we both quit Catheter, and he went on to do Primitive Man, and I went on to do Traffic Death after a couple years of a break.
That's amazing. I didn't know how tight that connection was, but yeah, I would call this skull crushing music. Whatever, soul shattering. Check it out, Primitive Man.
Yeah, they're great.
Track's called Victim.
I was actually wearing a Primitive Man shirt yesterday. It was
rad.
Just saw them. They played at the Muse last year.
Hell yeah,
they were awesome.
What's your next track, Eric?
Next track is from Halford's first solo record. Song is called Made in Hell. So I remember buying this at CD Warehouse or somewhere, and I didn't know what his solo album would sound like. And it was at a time where we were super into old school metal, and there wasn't much old school metal coming out. So when this record came out, it was straight up like Judas Priest. I was just like, hell yeah. So that album still sticks with me. So Halford, Made in Hell.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I feel like it was, it's kind of like what Priest needed to be doing in some sense. So pretty cool. Mm-hmm. My next track, I kind of cheated here. It's a twofer, and it is a new old track because it's BPMD. Have you heard of this group? It's I couldn't choose between Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, the ZZ Top cover, or DOA, the Van Halen cover, because they're both fucking rad. But it's Bobby Blitz from Overkill on vocals, Mike Portnoy's on drums, and then there's Phil Demmel from Violence and Machine Head on guitar. It's just like they cover classic rock songs. But yeah, the Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, the ZZ Top cover's rad, and DOA by Van Halen. Those are two that really stuck out to me. It's fucking rad. Check that out. It's called BPMD.
Hell yeah.
BPMD. It sounds like that weird sex move or something.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think it's just their names put together or something. Blitz, Portnoy, whatever, Mark and Phil. Phil
Hell
Demel.
yeah.
Phil Demel. So Demel, I guess.
My last old school pick for the week is Sanctuary, Die for My Sins off their debut album. Um, Another one that just continually kicks ass and amps me up, especially that track from that record.
Yeah, I that is my kind of, I guess you would call it power metal, power thrash, whatever. Great record.
Mhm. Hell yeah.
Love that artwork too. That
Yeah.
Eddie Replica cover.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that shit's amazing. So I have this new track is really kicking my ass. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but Voivod, the end of Dormancy, um, and it's an EP that's coming out actually, I think in a few days. No, it's coming out July 10th, but it's got like horns in it, and I think it sounds creative and experimental. But if you dig Voivod, I mean that in the best way possible, not a bad way. Um, the video is really cool. Almost it's like a sci-fi kind of vibe. Check it out, Voivod, the end of Dormancy.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Little boy bud.
Let's see. My first new pick. I'm really picky with my power metal and which bands I really dig. And this band, Unleash the Archers, is really just like I heard them just on a random playlist, and I was like, "Who the hell are these guys?" And they're just, as far as power metal goes, I think they're real badass. They got a heaviness to them, like a legitness to them that sometimes I don't find all the time in power metal. Um, but yeah, so Unleash the Archers, and the new track is called Abyss. And yeah, it's feeling for some like power metal energy. They kick a lot of ass, so definitely worth checking out.
We played
Yeah,
we played with them in Iowa City on their last tour, and yeah, they deliver that record the way it sounds. The records that they played tracks off of, it was really cool.
Hell yeah.
sweet. Yeah,
Or
I've always been a Halloween guy,
Mhm.
early Halloween, and
Mhm.
I feel like it's strange how they sort of started to sound like the bands that emulated them later, and then
Mhm.
at that same time, all power metal started to get produced the exact same way, and it all sounds really similar. But
Yeah.
there's still bands that have standout records. Like I really enjoyed those first couple Rhapsody records, and there was like some Stradivarius tunes that I enjoyed.
Mhm.
Hammerfall I never really got into, but I never knew which one. Like by the time I heard of them, they had 5 albums out.
Right. Yeah, they're
yeah,
putting stuff
I
out.
think they had some really strong records early for sure that I
Yeah,
need
I
to
agree.
pull out and revisit. But
Yeah.
that kind of segues into my last new track for this episode. It's a fresh power metal band from my perspective. They're called Judicator. They're from Tucson, Arizona. They were formed by Tony Cordisco and John Yelland after they met at a Blind Guardian concert. This track is it's called Tomorrow's Sun, and their new album is coming out July 24th called Let There Be Nothing. You can pre-order it now through Bandcamp, but check out Judicator, power metal band out of Tucson, and I think it's really it is inspired and sounds definitely interesting. It doesn't sound like kind of cookie cutter power metal, so check it out.
Hell yeah. My last pick on here, you guys can tell they're new to me. You guys can tell me if I've been sleeping on them, but it's a band called Hell Ripper, and song is called Specters of the Blood Moon Sabbath. And
I like that song title.
yeah, no, it's pretty rad. I don't even know really what genre I put it into, but it's fast. It's screamy. It's kind of yeah, I don't know, maybe black metal tinge to it, but it's still old school. Like it's kind of got some like old school thrash riffs in there too. So um, very like DIY production. So I don't really know where I'd place them, but yeah, they're new to me, but I might be sleeping on them. But yeah, it's a rad track.
I've never heard of them. It sounds like something I would have heard of though.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I think you did unearth this one, so we'll check it out, and anybody listening, check it out. Let us know what you think. But this has been another episode of Heavy Radio. We want to thank Nate Phillips for hanging out. If you ever want to come back on, just keep in touch, and or if you run into somebody that wants to come on and chop it up, just send them our way.
Sweet, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I want to tell you, Nate. Also, yeah, thanks, man, for making the time for this. And yeah, you're welcome back anytime. And it was fun to talk to you again and talk some metal. So, yeah, wish you guys luck and with the band and your company. And we'll make sure to get the links out there for everybody so they can come check you guys out.
Cool, man. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Check out the playlist. It'll be on pretty much anywhere where you can check out a podcast. So check it out. Heavy Radio.
Cool.
Later.
See ya.